Hi, I'm Cirilli.
Hi, I'm Seema.
Today we're joined by Rebecca Rehr. She's the director of Eco America's Climate for Health program, a national initiative led by a diverse network of health leaders from across the sector. Rebecca also currently serves as a governing counselor for the American Public Health Association's Environment Section, as well as a co-chair of the American Geophysical Union's GeoHealth Section Policy Committee, and was recently, and this is exciting, selected as an inaugural recipient of the Public Health Engaging and Emerging Leader Award from the University of Maryland, School of Public Health. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Rebecca. We are so excited to have you here because there is something happening at Eco America this summer. Can you tell us a little bit about Momentous campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited to talk about it. Eco America as an organization works to build public support and political resolve for climate solutions in the US. And we do that across three sectors. So we have a faith sector program called Blessed Tomorrow, a communities program called Path to Positive, and our health sector program, Climate for Health, which it's my humble honor to be the director of that program and work with so many amazing health leaders across the sector. And we have been building towards action and advocacy. We know we need ambitious climate action now. And we know that health leaders are trusted voices on the issue. So we at Climate for Health and across our programs at Eco America have launched the Momentous campaign. And so that's a campaign that's based in three pillars. So the first is just and equitable climate action, more ambitious climate solutions that are more ambitious. Let's do more, let's do it now. And climate solutions that restore thriving nature, right? So justice, ambition, and restoration. And so the Momentous campaign, which can be found at ecoamerica.org/momentous, and that's Moment Us, it's our moment for climate action, is really, based on those three principles. And it's a commitment we're asking. So we ourselves are saying we are going to take actions rooted in those three principles. And we're going to ask our organizations, our neighbors, and our elected officials to do the same. And so the summer campaign, which is going on all through August, is an opportunity for everyone to sign up for the Momentous campaign and then write letters to the editor talking about these three pillars and calling their congressional delegation when they're home for August recess. And so we have on the website, we have call scripts and letters and actually draft versions of a letter to the editor that you can then copy paste and tailor with your own personal story about how you're seeing climate impacts in your community, how climate change is impacting your health personally. You can tell that story. And it's critically important that your neighbors and your elected officials hear from you how important it is to pass ambitious climate solutions. And because it's affecting us personally, it's affecting the air we breathe, the water we drink, inside and outside. And we really need to let people know this is important, and this is the time to take that action. And we really can't wait. So really, thank you for the opportunity to talk about the Momentous campaign. And everybody listening, pick up the phone right now and call your congressional delegation with the script we provide and tell your story.
I love that. And anyone who's listening to you, Rebecca, knows that you're super passionate about this topic and getting involved in your community, but also at the national level. Tell us about your personal journey into climate and health space, but also what brought you here? What are some of those issues that keep you up at night that you want to challenge yourself to take on?
Sure. I think I've had an unusually linear path. I think I like to say, I grew up in Baltimore, and I'm considering myself an urban environmentalist for sure. Camping is nice on occasion, and nature is wonderful, but I like it everywhere. I don't want to have to go far away to go camping and get nature. I think it needs to be everywhere. And so I'm definitely a city person, and I definitely categorize myself as an urban environmentalist. And I grew up in Baltimore, went to public schools, and it was in high school actually when I learned that there was lead in the pipes to the drinking fountains in my high school. And, there were signs everywhere, don't drink the water. So, which is a great way for teenagers to then want to do exactly the opposite of that thing. But because they didn't really tell us why. And I didn't really understand why, even though I was taking AP chemistry, it would have been a perfect lesson. But I just remember, being mad about the water coolers that were installed in the little triangle cups because, your own water bottle wasn't a thing then. It's just not everybody carried water bottles like they do now. And so there was this, piling trash. And I remember being angry about that. And then in college, learning about the neurotoxic properties of lead and realizing that is why we couldn't drink the water, because it was dangerous. And I just remember as a person in the affected population, not getting that information and having the realization that that always the information needs to go into the hands of the affected population. And so that was, sort of introduction to the concepts of environmental justice, and realizing, looking back on growing up in Baltimore, seeing environmental injustice without having the framework or the tools to understand what I was seeing, and seeing the ways that redlining and systemic racism have created inequities in cities, and that it is we need to be involved in policy mechanisms that create the systemic change that build equity for everyone. And so I finished college, did environmental policy, graduated into a recession, and so moved back home. And so I decided, I'm not gonna sit around and be bummed about the recession. I'm going to get an unpaid internship in the Maryland Department of the Environment, working for the Commission on Environmental Justice and Sustainable Communities, and continuing to learn and doing paid work as an administrative assistant, so that I could then work on the issues I really cared about as an intern, and really got a lot of great experience there. Ended up going to graduate school in public health because I decided I really want to work on policy mechanisms, but I want to do it in a way that's grounded in public health science. And so using public health data and translating the science to strong policy. So being that bridge between science and policy, and understanding the ways that public health can build equity through policy solutions. And so got my master's in public health from the University of Maryland, then did 2 years at the Office of Children's Health Protection at the EPA. So again, learning that when you set policy and regulations that protect the most vulnerable among us, you're creating the systems that are protecting everyone. And then did a couple years as in a small environmental health advocacy organization in Maryland. So ran the policy portfolio. So was actually a registered lobbyist in the state of Maryland for a couple of years. So your master's in public health and lobbying can, coexist. And it's really important. I was using studies and science and, being an honest broker of public health information on environmental policy, and charting the path there before I've been it's been 3.5 years at Eco America now, working on climate solutions. And I think, the thing that keeps me up at night is we all are still in these bubbles, and we talk to like-minded people all day. And how can we, and that's really what Eco America is all about, reaching people, that aren't the typical climate advocates. We want to reach everyone on this issue because climate change affects everyone. And it's the how and the where, that keeps me up at night is how are we reaching people where they are, and how are we supporting people where they are in their climate journey to get that climate action that we really need, from everyone, because we need solutions. The news cycle today is just so rapid, and we hear about something we care about so strongly one day, and the next week, disappears from the news, not in everybody's, not people aren't thinking about it. And so how are we reaching, let's make climate change part of the discussion around the NFL draft, because climate change is affecting athletes' practice schedules and kids' abilities to play sports at all, and so why, let's get it into new places. So I think you could tell I could talk about this more, but I think there's things like that keep me, reaching people, I think keeps me up at night.
Thank you. That's so inspiring, and it's so nice to hear how you forged your journey to where you are right now. One thing that I'd love to learn more about are your thoughts on how viewers can get involved in climate and health work, whether that's through Eco America or whether that is really thinking about, ways that they might build career paths for themselves as well.
Yeah, I think one thing is ask all the questions. I mean, I think, I think so many careers that are here today in 20 years, I mean, like the workspace is going to look totally different. There's new technologies coming out all the time. There are new jobs, the types of jobs that are going to be available to folks in a couple decades are going to be different than today. And so, so ask questions, do those informational interviews. It's not always about, my first job needs to be, I tell, students all the time, I say, they're always looking for the perfect job. And they graduated last year. And it's like, you can just, it's important to get a job, enter the workforce, but it's important to learn what you don't like as much as it is what you do like. And so I think each of my parents has been in their same job for more than 30 years.
Wow.
And I think that is, people have that expectation still, but we're not in that cycle anymore of sort of that type of career, lifelong career as your first job. It's just not. People have a number of experiences. There are so many grant funded opportunities and, work in the nonprofit space that might be so many term limited jobs. And so it's okay, it's okay. Let go of the expectation that you have and join the fight wherever you find that drive. And it's okay to not like your first job. And it's okay to leave your first job after a couple of years, until you figure it out. It's okay to take a job that is unrelated to the field that you want and volunteer to get the experience you need. The economy is rough right now too. So take the job that so you can pay your rent and volunteer with organizations to build your resume. Volunteer opportunities can be a strong resume and builder and strong networking opportunity. So don't forego your dream job search, but supplement perhaps a job that isn't totally fulfilling with volunteer opportunities. And the local volunteer opportunities are really important. When I was doing lobbying work in Maryland, my paid job was on Maryland Environmental Health Network, but I was also advocacy chair of the Maryland Public Health Association. So I was able to stay fully engaged in the public health work while leading on environmental health initiatives. And that was incredibly useful to my job. And it was, I had an amazing experience with public health professionals on, I wrote a letter about smoking cessation in moving vehicles, in cars with kids. There was this, so it's like, who thought that leading on environmental initiatives, I'd be looking at that. And I remember it so clearly because it was such an interesting issue of personal rights and then, dangers of smoking to kids and cars, such an enclosed space. So, learning like that, like lifelong learning opportunity. And I do it today, right? I'm a governing counselor on the environment section at APHA, and the geohealth section at the American Geophysical Union is filled with incredible colleagues working on a number of the ways that Earth systems impact human health, and just learning from them constantly to supplement sort of my day job. And so people can get engaged. One thing about the pandemic has been that we've all had to switch to online learning. I certainly am with many people in missing in-person events and the networking and the, just sort of like real, true shared learning experience and networking experience you get from that in-person meeting. But it also means there's a lot online where you can plug in and listen to speakers. You can take short courses on climate change and health. We offer the Climate for Health Ambassadors Training Program. We have our own, webcast series called Let's Talk Climate that can range anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, where you can really plug in on all these issues free of charge. And so you can tune in, get educated, and then call, ask others to join you. I think that's the critical step. And that's what I would encourage people to do is get engaged, use the resources at your fingertips, and then ask others to join you. Don't miss that critical step.
I absolutely love that. I think that's so inspiring to hear that there's many entry points into the climate and health conversation, and just getting involved and networking in different ways.
Absolutely.
And also seeking opportunities to learn in different ways is key. And I know Eco America and especially Climate for Health turns out tons of information and events. Do you have anything that you can share with our viewers in terms of what's happening now that they can start getting involved in?
Absolutely. So I have two key things. One is our climate action sheets. So we just released our first set of climate action sheets. So you might have heard of fact sheets before, but we have action sheets. So there's 4 of them on the Climate for Health website and our resources page. And it's all about what you can do on climate. So, we know from our research that majorities of Americans are concerned about climate change, and they're really starting to understand that climate and health connection. But there's this, then what? Now what? What do I do? What do I ask others to do? And so the action sheets are in your home, in your neighborhood, in your workplace, and with policymakers. It has what you need to know, and on the flip side, what you need to do. And the great thing is they're great for you, and they're great for you to hand to others. It can serve as that invitation. And so so the climate action sheets are a great way to get started and to invite others to join you. And then we have announced that our 2022 American Climate Leadership Summit will be at the end of March. So save the date, the last week of March. We'll have 4 days of climate programming. So you heard it here first, folks. The American Climate Leadership Summit 2022 will be at the end of March. We're planning for 4 days of fully virtual content. And we will again have a focus on health on one of those days. So stay tuned, lots more to come on that. And then of course we have our Let's Talk Climate videos. You can watch on the Eco America's YouTube channel. We have a whole playlist of Let's Talk Climate. So check those out. There's lots of great material on there for you to learn as well.
Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing those wonderful resources. You've given us great ideas of opportunities to engage, as well as I think a lot of useful tips for people who are interested in joining this amazing field. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. And I also want to thank our listeners. Please do follow us on social media or check out our site. We'll be posting more and more conversations with some of the folks that we find so inspirational, such as yourself. And we hope that we get to have more conversations with you down the road. Thanks again.
Thanks so much.
And we'd love to hear from you all. So leave us a message on what you've learned about or what you want to learn about. And until then, let's make some noise about climate.
Bye-bye.